Welcome to Dairy Delivery by the Dairy Star. On today's episode, we'll feature 4 conversations from around our readership area. We'll first start in Hebron, Illinois with Ella Logue. Logue did not see much for dairy in her family growing up, sparking an interest in the dairy industry. Now, the former city girl is working at several local dairies and found her passion there. Then, we head to Hutchinson, Minnesota, as we spoke with Larkin Kurth. Kurth works on his family's dairy farm and uses the lessons he learned about hard work and translated that to being a 3-sport athlete letter winner and a team captain as he led Hutchinson to Minnesota's Class 3A state tournament. Next, we go to Two Rivers, Wisconsin, where 5th-generation farmer Russell Strutz is working with all 4 of his adult children at Strutz Farm Incorporated. Finally, we finished today's episode in Alma Center, Wisconsin, where we caught up with Mike and Mary Giese of Table Rock Holsteins. Mary is the 4-H leader with Milk Duds 4-H, and Table Rock Holsteins provides youth who are interested in showing animals a chance to work with cattle and experience them in the show ring. You are listening to Dairy Delivery, all dairy, all the time. Thank you to today's sponsor, Minnesota Tarp and Liner.
Minnesota Tarp and Liner has been committed to guaranteeing only the best results since it first opened its garage doors. Owned and operated by Tim Coyle, his wife Karen, and sons Adam and Nathan, Minnesota Tarp and Liner is dedicated to doing the job right the first time. Minnesota Tarp and Liner prides themselves on being a leader in the industry, with hundreds of tarp and liner installations and over 15 years of experience, and their facility is second to none. Minnesota Tarp and Liner includes a large, fully stocked inventory selling all brands and sizes of replacement parts, tarps, and liner rolls. Over time, tarps and their electrical systems get torn and worn out. Coyle and his team are there for all truck, tarp, and liner needs. They serve as an industry leader in electric installations and liner welding, as well as tarp repair and custom installations. Minnesota Tarp and Liner carries everything you need to get your rig rolling again. For more information, visit their website at mntarp.com. That's mntarp.com.
I'm Michelle Stangler.
And I'm Dan Walker, and we're your reporters with Dairy Star, bringing you the latest in the dairy industry, including hearing from farmers from across the Midwest and beyond. Now, Michelle, I just came back from vacation in Montana. Do you have any plans for vacation this summer?
Well, I really enjoy my time in Wisconsin, and the last few summers I've lived in different states, so I'm really just embracing what's here in my states, being with family and being with friends. But I know a lot of our colleagues and people across the dairy industry, whatever it might be, it's vacation season, and that might be fairs as well. So not exactly on the vacation, but I really just enjoy seeing what's in my backyard already and enjoying the festivals and whatever that might be. But 4th of July is coming up when we release this episode. It's the next day. Any fun plans?
We got friends coming up from Indiana who are going to come visit us for a week. They were our old neighbors down there, and we worked at Notre Dame together, and it was just kind of funny. They moved in a week ahead of time before we did, and then we moved in the following week, and we were really close to them, so we're excited to spend time with them again. Do you have a favorite 4th of July tradition?
Well, when I think about 4th of July, it comes to mind when I grew up on our family's dairy farm, where we would go to the parade and I would march in this band that we've been a band for forever, over 100 years, and it's just a small community band, so that would be a fun tradition. And then we would go home, have a cookout, and then we'd be back to milking, back to doing chores. And so this year, I think I'll be in a parade again and just being with a 4-H club, and so just all the fun traditions of this time of the year of celebrating America. So as you think about farmers and this time of the year, you think busy is a good word choice?
Yeah, most definitely. I know we got a lot of people with a lot of things going on. So
yeah, let's get into today's episode, hearing from some of the dairy farmers in our readership area.
First, we head to Illinois for a chance to speak with Ella Logue. After seeing a lack of dairy products at her family's home, she took it upon herself to see how dairy farming worked. Stacy Smart, one of our Wisconsin and Illinois reporters, discovered she was more than just working hard. She discovered a new profession and a new passion.
Ella, you came to the dairy industry with no prior background or experience
Correct.
in farming. So tell me, what kind of was that, what brought that interest about in you? Because you were only like 15 years old or around that age, right?
Yeah. So I wasn't raised with a background in dairy at all. And there was a few eye-opening moments for me, definitely. I went to tour a farm, and just seeing all the cows and the number of people that worked there really just showed how powerful these farmers really are, that they can take care of this amount of animals and not have that much help. So that really was like, holy cow, these are really powerful people. I would love to be just like them. And also just not having the background at all. My ag teacher once said, there's people that were raised on a farm and, they almost don't have interest anymore because that's just so what they're used to. But dairy for me was just a whole new world that I didn't think I could get, myself into. I'm a little blonde girl that weighs 100 pounds. I had no idea I'd have the power and strength to do this. And it was almost like a challenge for me. Like, can I really do this? And in 3 years, I realized I really can do this, but it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. But if you're willing to put in the time and work, then you can be a part of it too.
That is amazing. And I think that's really impressive where you've come from to where you are today.
Yes.
And so kind of tell me about some of the different places you've worked and different farms maybe that you've worked on and kind of the experience that you've gained.
Yeah, so I started at a smaller Holstein farm. We milked 90 Holsteins in a stanchion barn. This was a really good place to start as a young girl. You really got to learn the basics there. The classic Holstein, milking in a stanchion barn, moving the milkers back and forth. This was just a really good place to learn about the cows and their personalities and safety on how to be around, the largest breed of dairy that there is. After I was there for about a year and a half and knew that dairy was for me, I wanted to see what else dairy had to offer. So I then moved on to a robotic Jersey farm, which to this day was still my favorite place I've worked. And there, the robot, the Lely, milked 60 cows. And there I learned everything. I learned how to give all types of shots. I learned about breeding shots. I learned, how to wean a calf off. I learned everything I could have learned there. We worked side by side with the vet who would come every other week, and she'd have little meetings with us on how to do certain things. So I really loved that. And after I worked there, I got an offer at a very large, kind of famous farm. And I took that instead of going to college. I was like, holy cow, this is an amazing experience. So I moved away from home at 18 years old to my own house, and I was the herdsman at this large farm. And it was the middle of winter, so it was really chilly. I lived alone in this house, and I was working long, hard hours. And while I was there, I loved the animals. I loved the people. It was a great place, but I realized, maybe living alone at 18 isn't for me. When all my friends are in college, I was working my butt off all week long. So I moved back home, and that was just a really great learning experience. But I moved home, and I started online college and started some side jobs at other dairy farms, and I'm just seeing what every farm has to offer.
Great. So, Ella, you're only 19 years old,
Yes.
right? And you are already convinced that dairy is the industry you'd like to work in for the rest of your life, or at least the foreseeable future. Yeah. And when was kind of that aha moment for you, like, this is the industry for me?
Yeah, it was honestly before I even started working at a dairy. I went to tour a dairy, and just walking through the freestall barn and seeing all the cows on both sides, my just whole world changed. I could have picked any career. I didn't have to choose dairy. I mean, I'm not from a farm. I wasn't raised with this. I could have chosen anything. But walking through and seeing all these cows, and I mean, they're living beings. They need an extreme amount of care. And the fact that there's people that can take care of hundreds of animals on the daily, that's just such a powerful thing. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to be like them. So from that moment, I'm like, I'm going to try I don't want to say hop farms, but I wanted to go to a lot of farms, see how they're all ran and operated. I wanted to work with every breed, and I want every dairy cow out there to have the best care possible. And if I can be part of that, I want to be part of it. And I just want a name in this industry, starting from nothing and getting all the way up here in 3 years.
That is amazing. And just the experiences you've had are really cool. And what would you say you're most looking forward to about the future, your future in particular in this industry?
Oh gosh. Well, I do have a lot of ideas on where I'm going to be. I would love to be a classifier. That was the thing I wanted to do for 3 years when I got into dairy judging, and I realized I might be kind of good at this. I'd love to be a classifier and see how everyone's farms are ran and operated. That intrigues me. Going on farm tours, favorite thing to do. I'm developing a product for hopefully a company or companies that I think will change the way calves are cared for since day one. And I honestly would love to have animals of my own. If I could get some land and maybe have a show string, that would be amazing. But, they don't have to be super fancy cows. I love any cow.
Well, I wish you all the best of luck in your future, Ella.
At Minnesota Tarpon Liner, they operated a full-size 3-stall shop. You can rest assured your tarpon liner system will be installed at a professional level. On display in their showroom is a fully functional miniature semi-truck and trailer demonstrating their premier tarpon liner solutions for end-dump trailers, the Sherco Sherlock electric tarp system, and the Superslide Blue Stripe drop-in liners. Stop in and see how Minnesota Tarpon Liner can have your rig outworking the competition's equipment from the comfort of your driver's seat. Visit minnesotatarp.com for more. That's mntarp.com.
Read all about Logue's story by searching for the headline City Girl Gone Country on dairystar.com. Our next story today takes us to the pitcher's mound. Larkin Kurth, a senior at Hutchinson High, led his team to the Class 3A state tournament appearance this year. Larkin, who also plays football and wrestles, finished his senior year with an 8-1 record with a 1.9 ERA. I had the opportunity to hear lessons he learned on the farm and the example his parents set to help him with his athletic achievements.
First, tell me about your background growing up on a dairy farm and how it really has helped you grow into a multi-sport athlete.
I think it just taught me how to work hard and just work through hard things that come through in sports.
Absolutely. Why don't you share with us about your family farm, share a little bit about what that looks like today and how you grew up in the farm.
Oh yeah, so when I was growing up, we were just back at my home farm in a tie stall barn, and then we would have to switch halfway through milking and switch the cows out of the tie stall barn. And then quite a few years ago, we ended up buying a freestall down the road that has a double eight parlor, and then we gained a bunch of cows, and then we started out when we first got that milking around 140, and now we've slowly moved our way up to around 160, depending on how many cows are dry.
So, tell me a little bit about your role on the farm when you were growing up and what that role looks like today on the dairy farm.
When I was growing up, I'd help my dad with all the little random things that needed to be done, and then milking whenever I could, depending on what I had for sports. And then now, as I've gotten older, sports have taken a little bit more time, but I still work on the weekends whenever I can. And then in the field, doing hay and all that stuff. And then in the falls and spring in the field.
Really cool. Now, let's really talk about your baseball experience. Tell me about the spring and how it led you to the state tournament.
Oh, yeah. We had a few games that went up and down where we'd have a really good game, and then the next game we'd play terrible and end up losing. And then more towards I'd say about 3/4 of the way through the season, we started playing a lot better, making less errors and scoring more runs, and then that just helped us win more games, and then we just used that momentum to take us all the way through our section tournament, and then we ended up winning that, and then to the state tournament where we won the first game, and ended up losing the close semifinal game 5-6.
And tell me about the state tournament. I heard you played such a pivotal role in really making a win come true during that state tournament.
Oh yeah, I pitched pretty good in the game, and that just not giving up a bunch of runs helped us stay in the game, and then we ended up scoring a few runs at the end of the game to help us win the game.
Was there something in your mindset of the tenacity and just continuing to push through when you were at the state tournament that kind of relates to growing up on a dairy farm of some of the things that you learned being raised on that dairy farm that kind of translate to playing baseball?
Uh, Obviously at the state tournaments, there's really good teams, so you just have to work as hard as you can and not give up on what you're doing and make sure that you do it to the best of your ability to help, in that case, to help the team win.
I mean, take me back to this spring. How did you were you out on the farm at all, able to help, after practices or after games or early in the morning?
Oh yeah, I was out there to help my dad a little bit whenever I could, but obviously with baseball, it's really busy, but I still try to get out there and help him as much as I could.
Very cool. And when you say out as much as you could, take me back to maybe some memories this spring. Did you go um, out and help milk some cows, or what were those chores that you really helped with this spring?
Oh yeah, milking cows, of course, and then whether it was helping my dad fill the planter when he was planting or digging, picking rock, whatever he needed help with, I would be there to help him if I could.
What was your mindset in really helping others? Like, where did you learn this, and like what was kind of that mentality of pushing others and helping others grow?
Oh, I think I learned that from my parents, especially, and then when you're a underclassman, you're always listening to the captains of the teams because they're obviously the leaders for a reason. So just listening to them, you're gonna learn something from them.
And you mentioned your parents, and they have a immensely busy schedule, but they always try to make your games. How much pride do you have to know that they are in the stands encouraging you in your athletic endeavors?
I think it's obviously really cool because they really are busy schedules, and it just shows that they care about me and that I'm important to them. So they're gonna take time out of their day to come watch me.
What advice would you have for other younger athletes that also may have a farm or some kind of chores to do at home while balancing sports? What advice would you give them?
It'll be busy in the long. It takes a lot of energy, but you just gotta push through it and work hard.
At Minnesota Tarpon Liner, they carry P-Tax, which is an extreme, self-adhering vinyl repair tape. P-Tax vinyl repair tape offers extreme durability, is weather resistant, and will bond to vinyl with maximum hold. Installation is as easy as peel and stick. Repairs made quick and easy with no downtime. Available in many sizes and colors with 2-inch, 4-inch, and 8-inch wide rolls. For more information, visit mntarp.com. That's mntarp.com. Read about Kurth's story in the Minnesota section of the paper, or researching dairystar.com, from a dairy barn to the pitcher's mound. We head back to Wisconsin for our next story as Stacy Smart talked with Russell Strutz of Strutz Farm Incorporated. Strutz says his family went 4 for 4 as all 4 of his children have come back to work full-time on the farm. Hear from him about how the family is working together to provide a space for all his children to continue pursuing a life in dairy.
Russell, you are the fifth generation here at Strutz Farm, and you're farming with all four of your children, which make up the fifth generation. So can you tell me a little bit about how it is working together as a family and how you felt, I guess, from both a father's perspective and a business owner's perspective about having all the kids join you here on the operation?
Yeah, I guess it wasn't planned at all that me and my wife Karen have 4 children, and all 4 children would be on the dairy farm in a role of playing a role on the farm. So that was kind of unique. You always think that all your sons are going to be part of that dairy operation, and in fact, there's a lot of more and more in the industry, having females being operating and working on dairy farms. So as far as never expected that to happen, that all 4 children would be on the dairy farm. They have their unique perspective that they bring to the and talents that they bring to the dairy. So that's unique, and it makes, I guess, as far as parents, I guess, very proud to work with them every day. You see them every day, even though they might live in a different house. You're always involved with their life and know what's going on, and it's a unique thing that we have.
Absolutely. And so we have Megan, your sidekick here, sitting with us, and Megan is the second oldest child. And Megan, can you tell me a little bit about your experience working with your siblings and your parents and what that's been like? And kind of, is this what you pictured, when you were younger growing up, that you would end up on the dairy farm?
Yeah, I would say when I was younger, I never pictured myself personally being on the farm. I don't know if I can speak for my other siblings either, if they thought that they would be here too. But it's kind of cool that it seems like we just ended up here, even if the plans like post high school where I'm going to go do this or go do that, it's kind of cool how we eventually all just came back here. I guess as far as what I expected working with my family, it definitely is cool to have the personal and professional relationship. Very family oriented person. So I think it's very cool that you can see your family every day. And I think as far as like professionally getting things done, we do, but it's nice that you can still have those personal connections. Like we can talk about our day or like what's going on with our lives or the funny things that our kids did the night before, or, we can share those memories with each other. And then we just continue to make memories as we go along too.
Oh, that's pretty special. It's got to be a neat experience to have the personal and professional kind of all wrapped into one. So Russell, have you guys started looking at a succession plan and what the future of the farm might look with the kids perhaps as owners one day?
Yeah, we have, the succession planning is never done. It seems like you always can revisit that on a regular basis. And I tell myself that, which I'm not real good at either, but we have a plan in place as, the future owners, would be the children of this operation. And with the ownerships, how do we become the ownership? That's kind of the puzzling part that we're working on right now. The oldest being just over 30. And our goal was that when they became 30, that they would start being part owners of that corporation that we have here. And, you can never do enough of those plannings, and it's, those are all good things. And having something in planning, even if me or Karen were gone tomorrow, there's a plan in place that this operation would be continue as it has every day, and how that would look. It's all in our planning, and we do have those plans in place. But always want to work on that future ownership. How that goes and going forward, and how that looks like is always an ongoing process.
Megan, looking towards the future, what are you most excited about or looking forward to?
I think some of the things I'm looking forward to is being able to, I guess, get opinions from my siblings and be able to make decisions together. Obviously, everyone's kind of in their own department, so there might be something that is happening in herd health that we might not know about or want to talk about. I just think everyone bringing their different areas to the table and being able to make decisions moving forward, I think that's kind of exciting, that we can just kind of rely on each other and build off of each other. And, really looking forward to what the success of this farm would be with all of us in our different areas. So.
And there's a potential 7th generation in the future, right? Very young right now, three granddaughters that Russell and his wife have. And I heard that the oldest, the daughter, the 3-year-old, had already filled out a job application. Is that right?
Yeah. Right in the hospital, the day after she was born. I brought the application to my brother in the hospital and said, "Here you go, fill it out."
Well, that's exciting. So you could have a potential calf feeder here in the next, 10 years or so, right?
Yeah.
Read all about Struts Farm Incorporated and how all 4 children are involved in the operation with the headline 4 out of 4 on dairystar.com. We wrap up today's episode in Alma Center, Wisconsin, as one of Dairy Star's Wisconsin and Iowa reporters, Dan Walker, had the chance to speak with Mike and Mary Giese of Table Rock Holsteins. Mike and Mary have helped provide youth with the chance to get their boots on the shavings, lending animals to those interested in showing who would not normally have access to farm animals.
Why is it something you continue to do? Do you continue to see a need of trying to connect youth with agriculture? Yeah, that's a big thing. Ag is important to everybody, I think. June is Dairy Month, so of course we're in June, so I do think kids are very unconnected with ag. They don't know where their food is coming from, so they need to learn some of that. It doesn't all come from Walmart or the supermarket, so it's got to get there somehow. So when they come out, they learn that. The milk comes in that big tank, and it goes in the truck, and it goes and makes their cheese.
Yep, there's a whole process to it. It's not just on the shelf. There's a lot of things that go into it.
Right.
For sure. How long have you been lending animals and leading your 4-H club?
So we started in 2009 showing calves. There was only 3 calves that went the first year, and then I became the leader in 2012 of the milk duds.
Okay. How do you set your kids up for success for the fair?
We give them the resources they need, and it's up to them to make it happen. Just like I said earlier, that when you give a kid all the ingredients to make a cake, it can turn out good or it can flop. And it's up to them and how they prepare and get it done. Then that's how we set them up. I guess that's the only way I can say that we set them up that way.
Yep. And if they make that cake.
And if they make it, and we're happy for them. If they don't make it, we just say, hey, let's try again next year.
I was going to say, you make that cake and it turns out bad. You guys know how to kind of adjust from there and what mistakes you made.
And tweak the recipe or something.
Yeah. That's just, it's a metaphor for life, basically, too, along with showing cattle and all that. You've had several kids that have gone through showing with your animals. Do you have an experience that was the most rewarding with one of your kids?
Oh, we've had several kids that have been rewarding. We had one boy take a spring calf to State Fair. It was a shorthorn spring calf. And he won first place in the spring calf division at State Fair. That was very rewarding. We've had kids win showmanship with their animals, which is amazing. You come from last to first. That was a proud moment to watch. And we've watched Best Fitted, where they have to just clip their animals and get them all prepped up. And we had one girl win that, and that was very proud, too.
Sure. If someone wanted to get involved with Dairy Project and helping out like how you guys have, how would they do that?
Helping out, like getting their kids involved in
getting kids involved, and then if they have animals that they would be willing to let
if you have animals and you were willing to help kids out, I would suggest that you go to your local 4-H extension office and talk to their extension leader. They will gladly find you kids if you're willing to help. At least Jackson County does here. And then go to your local school, talk to the FFA advisor. They too will help you find kids, or if kids are in need of a dairy animal and you're willing to help them out, I bet you can get matched up pretty quick.
Find Mike and Mary's story under the headline Giese's Open Farm, Hearts to Youth at dairystar.com. We'd like to thank today's sponsor, Minnesota Tarpon Liner. Minnesota Tarpon Liner prides themselves on being a leader in the industry, with hundreds of tarpon liner installations and over 15 years of experience.
Their facility is second to none, and their customized tarp installation bay offers fast and safe job productivity. At Minnesota Tarpon Liner, they have what it takes to get your rig set up and back on the road with minimal downtime.
Well, other stories found in the most recent issue of the Dairy Star, we have a special section including our past, present, and future. There we celebrate the dairy industry of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We spoke with farmers aging from range 9 to 90 as we learned how the profession has changed over the years and what the future might hold for these just beginning their journey in the industry.
In the special section, Dan, there are just so many interesting stories from a 90-year-old Minnesota farmer who told us the farm had started with 23 stalls, and now he finds enjoyment in watching his family farm. We also talked to a 9-year-old farmer who helps feed calves, delivers milk, feeds bottle calves, and picks rock on a Minnesota dairy farm. And there's so many other stories there, ranging from those ages.
Yeah, definitely. It was good to catch up with everybody and see the different opinions on people who are older and younger and how everything got started and all the different things people have going on. Our Dear Dairy Diary continues this week. A newer addition to our paper, we give the pen to the youth in the industry as they write out what they did on the farm for the day. This week's Dairy Diary entry is from Grant Craycraft, a 13-year-old from Brillion, Wisconsin.
You can find more stories in next week's Dairy Star newspaper, then come back to the Dairy Delivery on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts to hear more of those stories. Make sure you rate and subscribe, and if you or someone you know is interested in being featured in the Dairy Star or on Dairy Delivery, reach out at dairydelivery@dairystar.com so we can continue sharing all dairy all the time.